All right, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from Buddhist wisdom. It's all about how to find some real inner peace, not by trying to change everything around you, but by learning how to master the world within you.
So let's start with a question I think we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why? Why can one single negative comment or just one little setback completely hijack your entire day? You know that feeling, right? Why does that mental sting last so long, just replaying over and over in our minds?
Well, the core idea we're going to unpack is this. Most of our suffering, the stuff that really sticks with us, doesn't actually come from what happens to us. No, it comes from how our mind responds to it. That internal reaction, that's what causes the real lasting pain.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack this incredible metaphor called the second arrow of pain. Then we'll look at the ancient wiring in our brains that, makes us react in the first place. From there, we'll explore the art of observing as the antidote, learn a super practical mindfulness technique, clarify what the real goal of all this is, and then finally, we'll look at the path to freedom that it opens up.
Okay, first up, the second arrow of pain. This is this absolutely brilliant 2,600-year-old metaphor that gets right to the very heart of why we suffer. It's a real game changer. The Buddha taught that in life, we all face two arrows. Now, the first arrow is just the event itself, a difficult experience, a harsh word, some kind of loss. That kind of pain, it's unavoidable. That's just part of being alive. But the second arrow, that's our reaction. That's the outrage, the self-pity, the whole story we start telling ourselves about what happened. And here's the key. That second arrow is optional.
The Buddha put it this way, and it's so vivid. It's like a person gets pierced by one arrow, and then immediately they pierce themselves with a second one. So they end up feeling the pain of two arrows. Think about that. Most of the time, the suffering we really feel comes from that second arrow, the one we're actually shooting into ourselves. So how does this ancient wisdom stack up against modern science? Well, let's jump into our next section and find out. We're going to look at your brain's ancient wiring and the actual science behind why we have these automatic reactions.
This brings us to a concept you might have heard of called the amygdala hijack. Your amygdala, it's the emotional fight-or-flight center of your brain. And when it perceives a threat, and it can be a real or just an imagined one, it can completely take over your rational mind. You're not choosing to react. Your ancient survival programming has literally just taken the wheel.
And this comparison just shows how outdated this system can be for us today. I mean, for our ancestors, an instant reaction to a rustling in the bushes could be the difference between life and death. For us, that exact same high alert system gets triggered by a critical email from our boss. Our brain treats a modern-day annoyance like it's a saber-toothed tiger. In Buddhist teaching, this ties right into the idea of karma. Every single time you intentionally react, let's say with frustration, you're strengthening that mental habit. It's like you're carving a deeper and deeper groove in your mind, which just makes that same reaction more automatic the next time. We literally build our own prisons out of these mental habits. Okay, so if our brains are wired to react this way, are we just stuck? Well, no. Let's move on and talk about the antidote, the art of observing. The way out is through a practice called sati, which we know as mindfulness. The Buddha laid out 4 key areas where we can practice this. We can bring awareness to our body, the simple feeling of our breath or our posture. We can bring it to our feelings, just noticing if something feels pleasant, unpleasant, or just kind of neutral. We can tune in to the state of our mind. Is it agitated or is it calm? And finally, we can observe our mental patterns and thoughts. It's all about learning to see what's actually happening inside us with real clarity. And here's the core instruction for this whole practice. The goal is to abide independent, not clinging to anything in the world. Now, what on earth does that mean? Well, it's simpler than it sounds. It means you observe your experience without desperately grasping at the pleasant things to make them stay, and without pushing away the unpleasant things to try and make them disappear. You just watch. Okay, so that's the what. Now for the how. How do you actually do this stuff? In this next section, we're going to get super practical with a simple guide you can start using right away. Here's the secret sauce, right here. There is a tiny moment, this little space, that exists between the feeling that arises and our automatic reaction to it. Mindfulness is what helps us find that space. And inside that little gap is our power. It's our freedom to choose a wiser response instead of just running on autopilot. The technique itself is incredibly simple, but so powerful. Just 3 steps: notice, name, and return. So let's make this real. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and you feel that classic irritation rising up. First, you simply notice it. Maybe it's a tightness in your chest. Second, you gently name it in your mind, just irritation. This creates a little bit of distance. And third, you return your attention to something neutral, like the feeling of your breath. You're letting that wave of irritation pass without getting totally swept away by it. Okay, I need to clear something up here because it's a really common misconception. People sometimes worry that this kind of practice is going to make them cold or detached or robotic. So this section is all about clarifying the goal. It's about developing warmth, not indifference. It is so important to be able to tell the difference between these two ideas. The goal isn't indifference, it's equanimity, or upekkha. Indifference is cold, it's apathetic, it's about turning away from life. Equanimity is warm and stable. It lets you turn toward life with total clarity no matter what it's bringing your way. You don't stop feeling things, you just stop being thrown off balance by them. And equanimity doesn't even show up alone. It's actually one of the 4 boundless states of the heart. It hangs out with loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy. Think of equanimity as the stable, solid foundation that allows all of that warmth and compassion to flourish without you getting totally burned out. It's a quality of the heart, not an absence of one. So where does all of this actually lead? Let's bring it all together in our final section, the path to freedom. So why does all this matter? What's the big payoff? Well, because this isn't just some stress reduction technique. This is a lifelong practice that leads to real, genuine freedom. Freedom from being a puppet to our own automatic reactions, and the clarity to respond to life, to our work, and to the people we love with real wisdom and care. And this is maybe the most empowering part, this freedom isn't something anyone can just give to you. There's a final, incredible quote from the Buddha that says it all. You yourselves must strive. The Tathagatas only point the way. The map has been drawn, the path has been shown, but ultimately, we are the ones who have to do the walk. So we'll just leave you with this final thought. This whole practice isn't about achieving some perfect future state. It's about right now. Every single breath is a chance to start over, a chance to notice, and a chance to choose. So the question is, what will you do with yours?